Hey, happy Friday, everybody. We're going like 3 or 4 hours, right? Is that what we're doing, Kris? Like,
yes.
Okay. Happy Friday. My goodness gracious, man. This is such a thrill, such an honor. Welcome to Stop Being the Best Kept Secret. My partner in crime is on a wonderful vacation with his wonderful, favorite, lovely wife. And so that was a joke.
His favorite wife?
His favorite
There's
wife.
another
So
one?
I didn't say that on live, did I? So, all right, Lene, love you out there. They're having a great vacation. His internet was a little shaky, so you guys are stuck with me. So let's go around the horn. I'm like, Erin, let me get my heart pills. Where are they? Okay. All right, we've got Kris Harrington, the co-founder, CEO of Gen Alpha Technologies. Kris, you're a repeat offender. Thank you for being here today. Appreciate you. Lots of love. We were just on stage together.
We were. It was amazing. Actually, thank you for having us here because, this is a special moment for all of us. We've been here. We've been on your show. We think that this is going to be exciting for all the people who tune in every week to learn from you and Damon. And we're going to miss Damon while he's here, but it's an absolute pleasure to be here with you and my co-hosts at a broadcast for manufacturers. So thanks for inviting us to your show.
Oh my goodness gracious. Are you kidding me? This is such a privilege. Now, Kris, I do have to say it is much better being on stage with you in person, but this is the next best thing, man. We did. I know you're a woman of humility. We did crush it. Didn't we crush it on stage? we did. So, all right. We had a good time. All right. So, hey, and then I got my dear friend, Lori Highby. Lori, repeat offender. You've been on multiple times.
Sure
Keystone
have.
Click, founder and extraordinaire CEO, founded and I have nothing prepared. 2008. I remember that, right? And just
that's right.
Crushing it at Keystone Click. And then, hey, how about this wonderful human being right below me? Look at her. She just glows. She's also a repeat offender. We've got Erin Courtenay in the house, pod nerd. Erin,
love it.
How are you? So
happy to be here, Curt. So happy to be here. And you know what's kind of funny? When we planned this, Kris is like, it's hard for him to, he's such a good host, but I want to know about him. He's so gracious. He always asks the great questions. And so just be prepared. You're in the hot seat. It's not always a comfortable place to be, but we're going to take care of you. We're going to go real gentle on you.
We are?
I wasn't planning on being gentle.
I
was just trying to put him at ease before.
Sure. Okay. All right.
Erin, I'm not buying it because I know Lori too well. So, hey, a couple comments here. And then we've got the wonderful women of Wisconsin who have the Broadcast for Manufacturers, amazing, incredible podcast. These guys are just fierce advocates for manufacturing. I'm going to grab a couple comments. Then, Kris, I'm turning the show over to you, my friend. Harry's in the house today. Happy Friday. This episode today might be better than Sunday season ending of White Lotus. Wow, Harry.
Pressure.
Wow, no kidding.
Oh, my God. Who died?
Man.
Don't tell me because this spoiler, I don't want to know.
All right, no spoiler alerts. Hey, we got Diane Byer, my dear friend. She's been under the weather. Diane, sending you lots of love, my friend. So, okay, guys, we're flipping the script. Kris Harrington, my dear friend, take it away. What do we have?
Well, we have you. And what more better way to start talking about you than to read your bio? Because, not many of your listeners probably have heard your bio because you're always, talking about everybody else. So I'm going to start right there. Curt Anderson is the founder of B2B Tail, dedicated to helping manufacturers stop being the best kept secret in their industry through profitable digital sales growth strategies. With over 9 years at B2B Tail, Curt provides valuable e-commerce strategies that help manufacturing companies achieve their goals and reach success. He creates free resources. So many free resources.
Right. That's why I can't retire.
He creates free resources to guide manufacturers on their e-commerce journey, including checklists, keyword strategies, and website optimization techniques. Curt's mission is to ethically drive the highest profits possible for manufacturers and entrepreneurs through effective digital marketing. He is a girl dad. He is a friend to this show. And we love him dearly. And we're just so pleased to be here and for this crossover event. Thank you, Curt.
Gee, my goodness. I mean, where'd my Kleenex at? Hang on. Erin. I didn't tell me I need to bring Kleenex. So thank you, Kris. That meant a lot. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, we want to start with a lightning round. So this is intended to be fast and furious and whatever comes top to mind. Yes, watch that heart. We know you're a young guy. You're a young man. You know, you can't lose any hair with these questions.
Right. Not going to happen, right?
Well,
I lose my eyebrows.
So what was your first car?
What was my first car? Oh my goodness. I had a what I had a Dodge Charger 19. What year was it? I had a Dodge Charger. Yeah, but it wasn't a cool one. It was like the dorky one. It was like a 4-cylinder, like so I was not a cool guy, but it was a Dodge Charger. And for the life of me, I can't remember the year right now.
What color was it? Do you remember?
1984. You know what? It looked like a Dallas. I was not a Dallas Cowboy fan whatsoever, but when I drove down the street, it had like the Dallas Cowboy blue-gray going on.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Awesome.
My first car.
All right, next up, controversial topic. So everybody just take a deep breath. Pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
Okay, is everybody? You know what? I don't want to lose any friends out there. I don't want to lose any friends. Okay.
Yes! That's the right answer, Curt. Well done.
All right. Okay. What was your most unusual job before marketing?
My most unusual job before marketing, so that's a great question. So in college, I'll go to college. I was a busboy. If anybody's from Ohio, I went to school in Ohio, in the state of Ohio, and there's a Max and Irma's chain. It's like kind of a mini Fridays thing. And I was a busboy. I think I made it for like 3 months. Wasn't and I was not fired. How about that? I was not fired, but I was a busboy and just worked my just trying to work my way through college. I recommend working a restaurant for any young person.
Yes.
It's a great way to get into the
and
road.
Being a busser, you're like the low.
Oh,
you're like the total.
You're like
busser here.
Yeah. So, good question. Yeah.
All right. Next question. If you could master any non-business skill, what would it be? Instantly master.
Instantly master any. You know what? If I could master good business or not business, right? You said not business.
Non-business.
Just what? That's a great question. I'm gonna go to. I'm married. I'm married 27 years next month. If I could be a better husband, how about that? So if I could be a better husband.
How much more could we love you?
Listening. She should be listening. That's great.
Oh my God.
I'm a working. She says I'm a work in progress. So we're trying to figure it out, So
we're all a work in progress.
Yeah. That's right.
Nobody's perfect.
That's right. That's right. Wow. So, Curt.
Yes, Erin.
Let's get a little bit of business here. What's your go-to productivity hack? Either for business, pleasure, whatever. What gets things done for you?
What gets I'm a music guy, so that's a great question. I'm either yelling at Alexa to play something, or I got a little YouTube going on. So I'm a music guy. How's that?
Do you have like a walk-on song that's just like
a walk-up song? That's a great question. So usually I say Baby Shark. That's usually my answer to
So. That's great.
Just kidding.
Oh my God, that'll never get out of my head. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
All day long.
That was just for you, Erin.
That.
Yeah, little Baby Shark.
All right. Well, I have to ask the question that, you ask all your guests, and you don't have to ask this one so fast or answer this one so fast because I want to really hear the answer to this. But who was your hero when you were growing up, Mr. Curt Anderson?
Hey, where'd that question come from? So, great question. So Damon and I started almost 5 years ago. And Kris, we were hanging out with our dear friend, Jeff Long. Jeff was our first guest. And somewhere along the line, we came up with this question. And I love this question. I love the answers. I feel it sets the tone for our conversation. So thank you for asking. I'll go here. So I was a sports junkie. So I'm much older than anybody here. So there was a guy named Larry Zonka, who was a running back for the Miami Dolphins in the 70s. I had everything Larry Zonka and pretty much anybody on the New York Yankees from the 1977, 1978 World Series teams. Those are my heroes. But my true hero was Dad. My father worshiped the ground he walked on. My dad. So if you guys haven't met me in person, Kris has met me. I'm six. You know what? I'm 6'1" with hair, Kris. I'm like six. I'm like just borderline 6 foot right now. So I'm 6 foot. My dad is 6'5", full head of hair. He has like a year-round tan. Real, get the mustache. He's got good looking dude. But man, when I was a kid, I worshiped the ground he walked on. And when he would work all day, and when he would come home at night, man, I'd be just sitting there waiting for him to play catch. We'd be in the side yard. And I would just be throwing as hard as I could. 9 years old, you realize you think you're throwing hard, right?
Yeah.
Every time he'd be like, man, I got to get a new glove. I got to put a sponge in my glove. Man, you're throwing so hard. Like he made me feel like I'm literally throwing 90-mile-an-hour fastballs. So then when it came game time, I'm just like, hit Dad's glove, hit Dad's glove, hit Dad's glove. And I really appreciate the confidence that he gave. And I was probably throwing like 20 miles an hour, but man, he made me feel like I was throwing 90. So I'll go to dear old Dad. How's that?
That's wonderful.
What is your dad's name, Curt?
Dwayne. So I'm Curtis Dwayne Anderson. How's that?
Oh, I love that. Something I want to share, just based on that story, is that you emulate your dad in the building the confidence. Every time I've had a conversation with you, you do a good job of reinforcing the good that I'm doing. And I know you've done that for Kris and Erin and everyone else you've talked to. So I loved that story you shared with your dad, because I can see you, your dad in you based on what you shared.
Well, thank you, Lori. I appreciate that. Hey, let's grab a couple comments right here. We got my dear friend Diane. She says, oh my goodness, love how you ladies are flipping the script. So much fun. And we got Admar here today. He says, I'm working on being a better father. Hey, right there with you, brother. Appreciate that. So guys, again, thank you for joining us. Drop us notes, any questions, any comments in the chat. I encourage you, I invite you, welcome you. Connect with my dear friend Lori, connect with Kris Harrington, connect with Erin on LinkedIn, and you'll thank me later. These guys are just amazing, wonderful human beings. So, all right, where are we at on questions? Who's next?
Oh, you know what? We're going to move to some really fun, deeper questions. As much as we'd love to do these really fun, crazy lightning round questions, we're gonna talk business here now a little bit.
Let's do it.
I love, you say this all the time, and it's so true, and I believe it 100%. And many, many, many manufacturers struggle with being the best kept secret in their industry. And I know you've talked to so many of them, and you've been in the industry and sharing and educating on so many different levels. What's the one simple digital strategy that you've seen that's really created that major breakthrough or mega results for clients who've previously been basically non-existent online?
Yeah, so Lori, as you asked that question, my first word is consistency. So I wouldn't say it's like, LinkedIn, hey, this LinkedIn worked for this person, but maybe YouTube videos work for this person, or SEO worked over here, e-commerce over here. I think it come in, and maybe I'm being a little bit broad, but I think, hey, broad, did you see what I did there, Kris?
Yeah.
Broad. See what I did? Okay. So it's really, I think, consistency, and I'll say the second thing is, I encourage folks, you feel compelled to do all the things. I even feel compelled to do all the things. Man, try to do like one or two things exceptionally, and then build and grow from there. So I think consistency and find your jam, find I think, was it Seth Godin says, I'm only doing my blog, and the reason I don't do anything social, because then that would distract from my blog. And so I think those are the two things: narrow and consistent.
Yeah, the consistency. I love using the analogy of going to the gym. You can't sit there and do 100 sit-ups in one day and expect to have rock solid abs for a whole year. You have to be consistently working on your health and going to the gym to have that physique that you're going for. And it's the same thing when it comes to marketing your business and getting your messaging out there. So perfect answer, Curt.
Thank you, Laura. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I would build on that too, because one of the things I think in the beginning, and we were at Gen Alpha a best kept secret. We didn't know how to early on attract new customers, right? So we had to do something different. And one of the things that we knew we had to do was break open some of our own barriers, right? We had to get out there, do podcasts, have webinars, have conversations, educate, reach our audience, hear from our audience. And then we had to consistently define goals and then consistently execute on those goals. So it is through the consistent execution and measuring what you're doing over time. I'm going to do this many posts. We're going to do this blog. We're going to have this many podcasts or webinars we want to be a part of. And when you just keep doing it, that's when you start to build, the momentum and the base and everything else. And Curt, I know that you have done that with the show with Damon, and you with the Best Kept Secret, you just kept inching in different areas, but kept the message the same. And you tried different things. Within what you've tried, where would you say you've had the most success? Because, you can show up in several different places. I'm curious where you've had the most success.
I'd say I love this, what we're doing right here. I just anybody that, and it's not for everybody, right? Like you gotta be like little, like for you guys doing the broadcast, like we, Erin, we got to be a little goofy, a little crazy, put ourselves out there a little bit, be a little vulnerable, especially on a live show, because like there's no editing here, right? Like if there's an oops, like we can't, I'm so bullish on what we're doing right here, what you guys are doing with your podcast, because like Damon and I never want to be the smart guys in the room, and it's really not challenging for us to accomplish that, right? So we just love bringing on smart folks like you, and like how come we feel a little bit better, smarter. I'll tell you one thing, like it's almost like I almost feel guilty when we do this live show. We get off and I'm like, that was like a free counseling session. That was like a free consulting session. That was like if you guys saw the notes that I take when we're interviewing people and they're like, oh, this is awesome. Thank you I'm like, no, thank you for like teaching us. So I think this platform right here, live streaming, podcasting, we've bringing on clients, bringing on referral partners, just learning. This is a gift. And it's like an embarrassment amount of riches by doing this. When I say riches, I'm just like the reward, not necessarily financially, but the reward of doing this is just priceless.
Love that.
Yeah, and you've brought in like different MEPs, you've brought in authors, you've brought in, tell us about some of the different people that you've brought in, and where can people go if they want to go see some of the past episodes?
If you go, so right on our website, B2B Tell, I have every single episode. On our YouTube channel, we have every single episode. Kris, like you're all over the place on there. So on our YouTube, we pull YouTube shorts. And that's the other thing is like when you do a platform like this, so now we're on video. We get short clips. We take the long form. We put it on our website. We take the transcription. We put it on our website. We just did this. We had like, we took a bunch of topics around website design for manufacturers, right? Or like SEO for manufacturers. We had tons of episodes. We took a lot of those transcriptions and now like we've created guides based on like those platforms. So like,
love that.
We're repurposing the heck out of this. Like you do something once and you just, so back to, probably, we interviewed the Carrie Smith, the founder of Big Ass Fans. That was a thrill.
Oh yeah, I was there for that.
He sold his company, took over a bankrupt business, and he tells a story. He walked into the company. It was like in a garage, and he built it into a $500 million company.
Wow,
brilliant advice, from that guy. We had the privilege of interviewing the founder of Reebok. And, and he was 80. He's at the time he was 85 years old, and like just what a thrill it was to interview. So just all the way to our clients, like you said, Kris, MEPs, everybody. It's just been. It's just I could go on and on, as you can tell.
Love that.
All right. So both you and Damon talk a lot about out teaching the competition. So, rather than relying on traditional advertising, you want to out teach the competition. So can you share an example of how this approach has helped one of your manufacturing clients establish themselves as the go-to expert?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, we shamelessly use that line. Anybody that will listen, right? How do you out teach the competition? So, all right. So I have a client that does like these little goofy ground straps. Okay. Little ground straps. And it's like every electrical product on the planet, every device that we're looking at has to be grounded. Otherwise, we're going to get electrocuted. Right. And when they started their journey, it was just like, out teach, blog post after blog post after blog post. All of a sudden, like they're coming up on first page rankings, over Amazon, over McMaster-Carr, over Grainger. And so they were just relentlessly going over that. And then Kris, they came up with a configurator. And so that was a total game changer. And just all their information, all their social, everything went towards that out teach the competition mindset, and just they've done a phenomenal job. So that would be one example I would give.
Yeah.
That's a great example. And I think out teaching the competition is also a very generous thing to do. You're really giving people what they need to know in order to make good decisions, which is very different than a more traditional like selling or marketing approach. This is why we're the best, So I think that is, and it fits your brand, out teaching the competition is just, it's so Curt. You're always teaching us things.
Yes.
You're out teaching us. Are we your competition? I don't know. I don't think so, right?
We're not.
No, okay.
Well,
Woo!
I do have to flip the script. I do have to flip the script back on you guys real quick. So if you allow me for a minute. So like Lori, if you guys go to Keystone Click, she does a phenomenal job of guides, resources, dedicated helping manufacturers. Lori, every time you and I are on stage together, whether it's Purdue or university or wherever you're here, I just really admire, how your team is just so dedicated to educating. You teach at local universities, all the things. Kris, same thing. You go to and I've had the privilege of Kris kind of watching you guys elevate and grow your out teach the competition strategy. You and Kevin, just webinars, podcasting, guides. I'm on your email, all the things. Lori, I'm on your email. So hey, how about round of applause to everybody for out teaching the competition? Everybody's so dedicated, right?
Totally. And the thing that popped into my head when you guys were talking about consistency is I can't think, the three of you are so consistent. Like really, it's like, it's great to see.
You have to be, honestly.
Yeah, but not everybody is. And the other problem can be getting redundant, and y'all are not redundant. Like you have a message, but it doesn't get stale because you take the time with it. And again, it goes back to that exercising analogy. If you just do the same thing over and over, you start to lose momentum. So you also have to kind of, keep it fresh.
Well, I've got a couple of comments on that. The consistency part, I've actually been called out if I didn't drop an episode on time, or because people start to know that this is always happening and they have a set expectation.
Yeah.
So if you lose them once, it's extremely difficult to regain your trust again.
Yeah.
So consistency, uber important. And honestly, I'm not opposed to redundancy. In learning, we have to have repetition. Right. You don't want to hear the same thing day after day after day.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with repeating the same message, because
that's fair.
Especially like leveraging social media, only like 5 to 10% of your audience is going to see that one post.
Right.
So the next time you post the same thing, it could be a completely different 10% of your audience that's going to see that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Somehow you managed to make it fresh every time. You do, like, I think, it's a fine line to walk, right? I mean, that's one of the greater challenges, like keeping it interesting for you to produce that content.
Sure.
Being consistent,
Well, it goes to what Curt was talking to about repurposing things, though.
Yeah. Yes.
Take the same thing
smart.
And reuse it
10,
20 different ways.
Right.
I always like to use the analogy, and I think I used it on the show last time I was on, Curt, with regards to education. I'm a big fan of cooking and cooking shows, and if I watched, Gordon Ramsay make a steak, and he gives me the step-by-step instructions on how to do it because he is the expert at it, I have gone to his restaurant and have paid for the steak, right? So at the end of the day, I'm still the expert in what I'm doing. You're the expert in what you're doing. There's nothing wrong with sharing the recipe on how to do the thing. what you're doing is you're proving your expertise, that you know how to do it, and creating that level of trust so that that person, that company, that organization knows and confidently knows that you're going to help them solve whatever problem that is.
Yeah.
Lori, if I owed you $1 for every time that I reference you, and I just used that last week. I probably owe you several $100s. I use that line. I'm like, my friend Lori Highby says I could watch a cooking channel all day. If it wasn't last week, it was probably this week. I use that reference all the time. I love that reference. Brilliant.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, except for that it makes you hungry.
And it is lunchtime.
It is lunchtime. Yes.
Right now.
We should have brought lunch together. We could
I
have
think
next time.
I'm gonna go get a steak. Curt, even in this day and age, all of us are not surprised by this fact, but it happens. There are still some manufacturers who are just beginning this journey. They're just beginning to think about their digital presence. What's the first step you recommend they take that can make the biggest difference in their visibility and lead generation? First step.
KYS. Any ideas? Any guesses? So Erin, I know you're thinking KISS, right? KYS.
I was thinking of different KY, but
okay.
There she goes.
So there.
Grab the heart pills, Curt.
Yeah, I'll be right back. I got it. All right. Erin.
I don't know what's so funny.
So KYS, know your soulmate. Know your soulmate. Know your buyer.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
And the reason being is our manufacturers are the best, right? We all agree on that. And so they know how to make their this thing, their widget, like nobody else, right? The challenge is, especially for our contract custom manufacturers, are like, well, we could CNC for anybody, or we could make circuit boards for, but then when you talk to them within like 5 minutes, they're like, oh, well, we're really snug in aerospace, or we're in DOD, like whatever space they're in. And I think like they get a little bit spread out and it dilutes your advantages. Focus on your core strengths and opportunity. I bet 80% of my first meetings start there, where they're very, very broad. Hey, I did it again, Erin. I couldn't help it.
Yes.
I love that you're calling it out every time you do it.
3 times you get a prize.
They're very broad. Cast for manufacturers, by the way. So, but they narrow your focus. Know I know kind of like it's marketing speak. Like, hey, you need the ideal buyer persona. Man, I'm telling you, I think it's critical knowing that buyer. Yeah. You know your soulmate inside and out.
Right.
That's the ticket.
Yeah. Yes. Excellent advice.
I agree. 100%.
What kind of exercise? Because I think this is a really good one, and I'm sure Curt and Lori, between the two of you, what exercises do you take people through to get them to know your soulmate? Like what can somebody do right now to get, because I love KYS. It's a very different way than saying ideal customer profile that we all kind of hear it and we ignore it or whatever. But when you say know your soulmate, that's a very specific targeted approach. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people, because they do think broadly about a lot of things, they miss this mark. Mm-hmm. So talk about some strategies for that, I think.
Go ahead.
I mean, we do this for all of our clients. So I'm happy to answer this, and Curt, you can elaborate in any way you want. To the point of being broad, you said like, oh, we service aerospace. Well, that in itself is still broad. When we're talking about who is that ideal customer, we ask our clients, who is your favorite client and your most profitable client? Like, I think those are two, you enjoy working with them. That's important, but you're excited to be working with them and it's a profitable venture for you. But we have them pick the actual name. Like, what is the name? We'll just say the name Jeff right now, right? For the example here. Okay. What is Jeff's title? What is his pain? Why did he come to you? Who is he trying to please? Like, is it his boss? Is it his peers? Is it coworkers? Is it his family? What is his long-term goals? What is it that if something could change magically in your industry that would make Jeff's life so much easier? What is that? So it's really getting into the root and inside the head of one person that is that ideal customer, as opposed to, the masses of the industry. And even to the extent of, where do they get their information from? What podcasts do they listen to? What social media channels do they hang on? What newsletters are they subscribed to? What print publications do they get? I mean, it's wide and deep, but about one core individual and their role, basically.
Yeah.
Man, drop the mic, Lori and Highby. That was awesome. So, and here's you know what, Lori, I just had a total flashback. So I think it was 2022, which like COVID, that was like 20 years ago, right? So I had the privilege, we did a cohort together. Do you remember that with Wesleyan? And so I had a front row seat of watching Lori in action. I'm telling you, everybody out there, please connect with all three. Lori, you do a phenomenal job. And Damon and I still talk about like your little hub and spoke tool that you have.
For messaging.
So, this is what a little tool that we came. So we have like a proprietary, we call it the digital game plan that we do with all of our clients. And so the nice thing is what we do. So Erin, you're talking about like competitors, like Lori is like the retainer, like she's going to do all the things, like she'll be your marketing CMO. What we do is like, we're more like, we want to do training. We're trying to we're great on like the first 90 days. And then we like to hand off people to like Lori, we're like, she could take them to the next level. So we focus on training. We came up with this really cool exercise. And I came up with this when I was in my 20s, back in the 90s. And I call it rounding the bases. And we do it with every single one of our clients. And man, whether they have a good time or not, I'm not sure, but I have a blast. So we call it rounding the bases. And what we do is it's a spreadsheet. And what we do is we have the singles, doubles, triples, home runs. And so I'm like, all right, who are your singles? And they're like, what are you talking? I'm like, well, like the customer that buys like once a year, once a quarter, like maybe have 50 singles. If they go away, not devastating, they come and go, but man, we love our singles, right? Then the doubles, well, they buy twice as much of the singles, but boy, those doubles are great. We spend more time with them. The triple, like, man, you're rounding your head first and the third, like we love our triples. And then who's the home run? Who's like the game-changing client that, is going to change the trajectory of the business, right? We do this exercise, and I even have I'll be like, hey, you guys baseball fan? Oh, I hate baseball. Next thing I know, like they're totally geeking out. Like, well, this client is our triple. Well, that's totally a double. I'll get text messages. Hey, Curt, a double just reached out to me. Hey, I just closed a triple. So like, it's a simplistic
awesome.
language. I love that. Yeah.
It's a simplistic language. So now they're fired up, but they can understand like bucketing their clients on a very simple baseball. Being a baseball junkie, I got to do that, So anyway, So Kris, that's my answer. So I love how Lori's saying like understand that one buyer, but I even suggest like put them in buckets, and who are we going after? So then when we create those buyer personas, here's a single. This is what the single looks like. This is where they work. This is what they listen to. Here's the double. Here's the triple. Here's the home run.
I love that.
Yeah. And then what you build goals around the different ones? Do you market to the, I would imagine you're marketing to the triples differently than you're marketing to the singles, and you have the specific goals around how much resource time you're putting towards those certain ones. And do you categorize them in your CRM system? I imagine you take it, you're building out from there, right? It explodes from there.
Great. So a lot, again, like we work with clients, like you said, like that raw manufacturer. So we work with, they're pretty raw. And I say the pond that we swim in, probably a majority of them don't have a CRM. Okay. So this is almost like, again, it's a little spreadsheet, but like, this is almost like a baby step for them to like start thinking about the CRM. Mm-hmm. So if they're selling direct to consumer, like the singles and doubles are going to be like direct to consumer, the triples and home runs are like the B2B space, mm-hmm. Major retailers, major, a boutique or this type of thing. Right. Yeah. So in the direct to consumer space, that's what that's going to look like. In the B2B space, it's going to be like, the person needs a little bit, but then like Boeing or Lockheed Martin, like the big, big folks, those are going to be the home runs. Right. Yeah.
Oh, I think this is a huge takeaway for people, the bases, and everybody's going to have a new language to talk about. And since it's baseball season, what perfect timing.
Go Brewers, right? Go everybody Brewers fan on stage here.
Oh, for sure.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Yep,
Awesome.
yep,
Hey,
yep.
we got 2 comments out here. Hey, Harry, thank you. I like to say, Curt, your sole responsibility is your sole responsibility. Great comment.
That's
And we
great.
got Jackie here from Ireland. Jackie, happy
Hey.
Friday to you.
Jackie.
Man, she's at what? Like she's dinner time. So we're at lunchtime. She's at dinner time. Jackie, thank you for joining us. Again, I've got Erin Courtenay here. I've got Kris Harrington, Lori Highby. Damon is away. So, all right, what's next? This is
And we, for our listeners who are going to be hearing this, we've got Curt Anderson here. All right. So I think this is where we move into our next part of our podcast, which is we all complete the sentence. I just learned that. So, Lori.
Ooh, okay.
What'd you just learn?
Yeah. This is a fun one. I just learned it yesterday, and it's AI related, which I know you all know I geek out on. So I use AI quite a bit to, like, I'll upload a CSV file to have it analyze some data. And it wasn't reading the file well, but it responded saying, if you upload a screenshot, I can still analyze the data. And I was like, what? No way. So I took a screenshot and I uploaded that. There's a term for that. I just learned it too, and it's escaping me at the moment. Computer vision.
Oh yeah.
computer vision.
Computer vision.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you took a screenshot, you popped it in, and it analyzed.
And it analyzed the data from the screenshot, which just blew my mind.
I love it.
So that was ChatGPT. Erin, what did you just learn?
Is my mic on? Yeah. I've been reading. Now I'm on like the 3rd book. Oliver Sacks. Are you familiar with him? He's a neurologist, and he is the one that was behind, the movie Awakening, where the patients would like catch the ball. I think Robert De Niro was in it, and Robin Williams. It's an old film, dating myself.
That, yep.
But it's a true story. And he's just an amazing human. And one of the things that he has discovered, and you may have heard this somewhere else, but was that no matter how much cognitive deterioration a person might have, whether it's from old age or, brain damage, what have you, music will still permeate into their ability to comprehend. So music is just it's a lifetime ability to appreciate and find pleasure in music. I thought that was really cool.
Cool. That is cool.
Yeah.
That is neat.
Yeah. Kris?
Yeah. I just learned there are going to be 44 WNBA games this year. Up from 40, and they just keep growing because women's basketball is taking off. And I'm getting pretty excited because the WNBA season is about to start.
Yeah.
So, we're finishing up the college and, all of those games now, and then it will start to convert and we'll get ready. So I'm very happy to see. Now, what we don't know is if compensation is growing for these athletes in the same way that the number of games. We know that they're reviewing it, that there's a lot more money coming into women's basketball and women's sports in general.
Yeah.
But the proof will be when it gets to the athletes and those of us that are entertaining us in the sport. So, and I think this is really critical, right? Because what happens in that world starts to carry over into other aspects of the worlds that we carry about in industry and in business, and all the other fun places where we know there's still that gap and we need to close it. So women's sports is having that moment, and I just love that. So thought I would share that.
Love that.
Awesome. We're seeing a big increase in like semi-pro here in Madison. I don't know if you guys are having that in Milwaukee as well, but we now have semi-pro softball. We have a volleyball team coming online.
Oh, wow.
I think there's one more. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's generating a lot of interest from the community.
That's
so
awesome.
We should catch a game together. That would be really
it would be a blast. Yes. Yeah.
The semi-pro.
Let's do it.
I think we need women's hockey. We need pro women's hockey, don't we?
Well, there's a national women's hockey league now.
Yeah.
I want to see a game. That is on my bucket list.
That's
The
on your bucket.
the women Badgers are number one.
Yeah.
Are they number one
In hockey?
in hockey?
Yep.
So, all right, Kris, who are you rooting for in the women's Final Four?
I'm going for UConn. I know they've won it many times, but I do like Paige Beckers, and I want her to be really successful. She came back from injury, and that's a difficult career when you're that young. I think the maturity that some of these athletes demonstrate, and she's just one of them that I've clung to. And usually I will pick an underdog. I don't think UConn's an underdog, but I just really want her to have her title before she moves on. So that's who I'm rooting for.
Yeah, that's very well said. We were just at UConn on Sunday, and what a magical place that is. So they're the basketball capital of the world, and all the championships with the guys and the women. So yeah, I agree with you. Rooting for Paige and the whole team. A lot of excitement there. So
yeah. All right, Curt, what did you just learn?
What did I just learn? I just I learned I didn't think it was possible. I learned how more amazing the three of you are prior to the show going live. But, hey, Harry's got to – let's grab a comment from Harry. When you're in a sales slump, bunt for a base hit and sell a small count to get your momentum back. I think you guys follow Harry, good, man. This guy, best lines, absolute love. Let's see. What we got here? Greetings from Ethiopia. So, hey, Tamiro, welcome. Drop a note. Let us know you're out there. I just read a book, Unreasonable Hospitality. Has anybody read that book, Unreasonable Hospitality?
No.
I strongly encourage you guys to consider it. It was a New York Times bestseller. Gentleman that founded it, he worked for it was a restaurant in Manhattan, and it was a 3-star, and he took it to be the #1 restaurant in the world. And it's just a fascinating story. It's a great read. Kris, as a matter of fact, when we were together in Austin, somebody on Joe's team, Sultana, she recommended it to me, and I read it, and it was just a captivating, just the sheer relentless, unapologetic drive to elevate this company of just unreasonable hospitality. And it wasn't just about the food. It was about the experience that they wanted to give their customers, and it was just really inspiring. It was a great
Lori,
book.
that sounds like a book for you.
Yeah, I just wrote it down actually.
Yeah,
so.
I'm putting it on my list too.
Yep.
Yeah. When we were at the show together, Greg Michio, who's a friend of all of ours too, another Wisconsin gentleman that we all know, he recommended to me Neuroselling, and I finished the book, and it's excellent.
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 That's
so,
my
to-read
list is way too long right now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but the ones that come from close friends,
Oh yeah, for sure.
Always
yeah,
better, right?
yeah,
always
vetted.
better. Yeah. Well, Curt, you're just amazing. It's always special to be in your presence. I wish we had the hugs in person like we had when we were at IMS a month ago. But this has been great having you on our show and us taking over your show.
That's right.
So for our listeners who maybe don't know all that's Curt yet, tell them about all the places where they can connect with you, and not just you and Damon. If there's anything specific you want to share with our audience on how they can connect.
Yeah, awesome. So Damon Pastulka is our co-host with the most, and so he is everywhere on LinkedIn. He's almost impossible not to find, and so connect with Damon. I'd be honored to connect with anybody and everybody out there on LinkedIn. You can go to b2btel.com, and we're all over YouTube and I don't know, some other social media platforms, but mainly LinkedIn and mainly just go to our website. We'll connect with you there. So,
That's right.
But anyway, and how about, what? And since you're on our show, Erin, best place to find you?
LinkedIn. 100%.
Yes. LinkedIn and genalpha.com. Please reach out.
Lori, Keystone Click, where would we find you?
Yeah. LinkedIn I post daily on LinkedIn and keystoneclick.com.
Awesome. So, hey, and let's see. Harry's got one more comment here before we close out. There are some people who, through their energy, empathy, and inspiration, you can immediately tell are good humans, mentors, and love serving others. Kurt's, hey, geez, Harry. Kurt's all of that and more. Thank you for great. All right. Thank you, Harry. Thank you for everybody.
Awesome.
Thank you for
Yes.
Tamiro and Diane and Jackie. I want to thank all the comments. Adamar, thank you guys for stopping by today. Thank you for everybody that didn't drop a comment. But hey, you know what? How about we get a big round of applause for our three wonderful, amazing, beautiful, lovely hosts here. So thank you, Lori. Thank you, Kris. Thank you, Erin. Let's see if we can do it, Erin. Let's see if we can do it. So, all right. We'll close out with this. So, hey, somebody says that's great. Diane says, thank you all. You made me smile and laugh. Diane, thank you. Hope you're feeling better. I know she was down a little bit. Have a great weekend. And so let's close out with this. So I always loved, first off, thank you all dearly. I can't express how much each of you, it's amazing, like the friendships that came out of COVID, right?
Yes.
And so, Erin, you're just amazing. Lori, we've done all sorts of things together. Kris, we've been together in person multiple times now. Just, hugging each other, just being on stage together, just absolutely awesome. And I just tell you what an inspiration you guys are to me. And I thank you, appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. And what I want to do as we close out, just go out and be someone's inspiration, just like these three wonderful ladies. And you too will make the world a better place. So thank you guys. Hang out with me for 1 second. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.